Once upon a cold Monday morning, the sun had barely risen over the glass towers of Harrington Industries when something happened that would change the life of the city's most feared and respected businessman. People whispered his name with caution: Alexander Harrington, the millionaire CEO who built an empire from nothing and trusted absolutely no one. But that morning, something unusual stirred inside his guarded heart, and it began with a woman no one ever truly noticed. Her name was Elena Morales, a quiet cleaning lady who worked the dawn shift. Most employees never learned her name, they simply saw her pushing a mop, wearing secondhand sneakers and a tired smile. She moved silently, as if constantly trying not to disturb the world around her. Except today, she wasn't silent. Today, she was fighting. Alexander stepped out of the private elevator, heading toward the special therapy room, a soundproof, soft-lit space created for the one person he loved more than anything, his daughter, Lily. She was 10, brilliant, fragile, and lived behind invisible walls. She rarely spoke. She startled easily. Crowds terrified her. She faced the world in small steps, and only a handful of people could enter her world without hurting it. Alexander had given her everything: the best teachers, the best therapists, the safest environment. But love, genuine, human love, was harder to buy. And today, as the elevator doors opened, he heard raised voices, agitated, sharp, threatening. No one yelled near Lily. Ever. Alexander's jaw tightened as he walked forward. Then he froze. In front of the therapy room, 2 new security guards were towering over a small woman, Elena. She stood with her arms spread wide, blocking the door with her own body. Behind her, he saw Lily, trembling, hands covering her ears, eyes wide with panic. The guards barked. She doesn't have authorization to be in this area. She tried to take the child somewhere. Step aside, lady. But Elena did not step aside. She shook with fear, but she didn't move. Her voice cracked, but her courage didn't. She was crying. She couldn't breathe. I found her alone. I was taking her to the quiet room because the alarms scared her. Don't you dare shout around her. The guards moved as if to grab her. Elena pushed one back and hissed, touch her and you go through me first. And that was the moment Alexander walked in. The guards stiffened immediately. Elena did not. She didn't even notice him. She was too busy protecting a child that wasn't hers. A child the world rarely understood. His child. Enough, Alexander said, voice calm but ice cold. Everyone turned instantly, everyone except Lily, who only peeked when she heard her father's voice. Mr. Harrington, sir. The guard stuttered. Alexander raised one hand. Silence fell like a hammer. Then he turned his gaze to Elena. Explain. Not cold, not angry, just curious, deeply curious. Elena swallowed nervously. Sir, the fire alarm in the adjacent floor malfunctioned. The sound terrified Lily. I found her alone in the hallway, shaking, crying. I know she calms down in quiet dark spaces, so I brought her to the sensory room. The billionaire's brow furrowed. How do you know what calms her? Elena lowered her eyes. I clean that room every morning. I've seen the drawings she makes there. How she relaxes. How she breathes easier. I didn't mean to overstep. She just needed help. He stared at her. Long, unreadable, almost uncomfortable. Then Lily slowly approached, tugged at her father's sleeve, and whispered, barely a breath. She helped me. Alexander's heart, this heart of iron and walls, cracked. Lily almost never spoke to strangers. And she had spoken for Elena. Guards, he said, without looking at them, you're dismissed. They vanished down the hall like ghosts afraid of the living. When they were gone, he turned to Elena again. Thank you. 2 simple words he rarely said. In his entire company, people could count on one hand how many times they had heard them. Elena shook her head. Anyone would have done it. No, he said softly. Very few would. Her cheeks reddened. She wasn't used to praise. Certainly not from a man whose shoes cost more than her monthly rent. Lily tugged on Elena's sleeve this time. Come, the girl whispered. Stay. Alexander blinked in shock. His daughter was inviting someone into her safe space. Elena kneeled, meeting the child's eyes. Only if your dad says it's okay. Alexander felt something flutter painfully in his chest. A feeling he hadn't allowed himself in years. It's okay, he said quietly. Lily smiled, and Elena smiled back. Over the next days, everything changed. Alexander noticed how Lily behaved around Elena. How she laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. How she let Elena braid her hair. How she traced the flowers on Elena's cleaning card with fascination. And Elena, she didn't treat Lily like a fragile artifact. She treated her like a person. Patiently, gently, respectfully. One morning, Alexander found them sitting on the floor of the sensory room. Elena held a small origami butterfly. Lily watched in awe. Want to learn? Elena asked her. Lily nodded eagerly. Alexander watched, unseen, from the doorway. Something warm spread through him, unfamiliar yet comforting. He wasn't used to trusting anyone. But he trusted her. It wasn't just Lily who softened around Elena. Alexander began noticing Elena everywhere. Her kindness, her quiet humor, her strength. She wasn't intimidated by him. She wasn't trying to impress him. She simply cared. About her work. About the people around her. About his daughter. One evening, he found her still working long after everyone else had gone. Her hands were red from scrubbing. Her back ached. But she was humming softly, sweeping the hallway as if the world wasn't heavy on her shoulders. Why do you stay so late? He asked. She jumped, startled. Oh, sir, I didn't know you were still here. You didn't answer. She hesitated, then sighed. Extra hours mean extra pay. I send most of my earnings to my mother back home. Alexander frowned. Does anyone help you? She laughed sadly. Help, sir. I'm invisible here. People don't even look at me. I look at you, he said quietly. She froze, because there was something in his voice. Something she wasn't prepared for. Something she had tried all her life to avoid, attention from powerful men. But his wasn't predatory. His wasn't cruel. It was grateful, admiring, surprisingly gentle. She forced a smile. I should finish my shift. But he stepped aside respectfully. Good night, Elena. And for the first time since she came to the company, someone said her name like it mattered. Then came the day everything changed again. A board member, known for arrogance and entitlement, stormed into the therapy area. He had been complaining for months that Alexander wasted resources on that child. On his Lily. Elena saw him before Alexander did. The man towered over Lily, gesturing wildly, raising his voice. Elena stepped forward instantly. Back away from her, she said firmly. The board member sneered. You're a cleaner. Know your place. Lily whimpered, shrinking. Elena stepped in front of her again, just like the first day. This is my place, she said. Protecting a child from a bully. The man raised his hand, as if to shove her aside. But he never made contact. Because Alexander grabbed his wrist midair. His voice was dangerously calm. You're fired. The board member paled. What? But you threatened my daughter. And you disrespected the woman who protects her better than half this company. Get out. The man fled. Elena exhaled shakily. Alexander turned to her. You did it again, he said. You protected her. She needed me. No, he whispered, we need you. The room fell silent. Even Lily stared at him in surprise. That evening, Alexander found Elena waiting by the bus stop, cold wind whipping her thin jacket. She hugged her cleaning bag close, shivering. He stopped his car beside her and rolled down the window. Let me take you home. She shook her head. I can't accept that, sir. You protect the most precious part of my life, he said softly. Let me return the favor. After a long hesitation, she got into the car. The drive was quiet but warm. Gentle, safe. When they reached her street, he looked at her for a long moment. Elena, you're not invisible. Not to me, not to Lily. Her eyes shimmered. No one had ever said words like that to her. Thank you, she whispered. He smiled faintly. Tomorrow, come a little earlier. Lily wants you to teach her how to make more butterflies. Elena laughed softly. I'd like that. Dash dash dash. And so began a story no one in the city expected. The untouchable millionaire, the invisible cleaning lady, and the little girl who brought them together. Not through power, not through money, but through kindness, courage, and a heart big enough to protect a child who needed love. Love x Revenge continues.